I say is this. They will say, hey, this guy's got a legal surname. Now, make sure that you're brought in there under force and duress, because if you walked in, it would already be assumed that you must be the guy on the docket, right? But if they brought you in by force, right? We're going to come and get you anyways. Okay, drag me in. Now I'm here involuntarily against my consent. And I'm here to seek natural equity. Because the legal prosecutor is assuming that I am something that I'm not. So therefore, he's assumed the penalty because he has no proof I am that. What proof do they have in there? That's why it's really good when all the ID expires, because it's all dead. See, if you have no ID that's active, right? Driver's license. That's why they need this document to lead to passports and driver's licenses, because that's when your picture goes on there and your signature. Most deadly. Because you're giving them your energy. You're volunteering to be known and be recognized as that entity. They wouldn't even care if you put your butt cheek on the signature line, because once they've got your photo, that's enough energy for them. That's called facial recognition. And there's no gun to anybody's head walking into those places. You know what causes you to go into those places? It's called the spelling F-E-A-R. That's called false evidence appearing real. Because you keep on appearing to be real under a false identity. I know this is hard. It takes a little bit of courage, but it's the fear factor. Can a man granted legal status forsake legal status? I just thought I'd throw that one at them. It says yes. A man granted legal status such as Canadian citizenship or permanent residency can choose to relinquish or renounce it. But guess what? It'll result in the loss of associated legal rights and privileges. Hold on a second here. Do I want any legal rights and privileges? Because legal rights come with duties, debts, and obligations. So why would you want them? Now you wonder, oh, but how am I going to get those other services, right? Oh, you really think that when there's a homeless guy and he falls out in front of a hospital because he's had an accident, hit by a car, they're going to be looking for a birth certificate before they take him into the hospital? We worry about stuff that is completely ridiculous. They will look, he'll get better treatment than the guy with ID. The guy with ID will be in a lineup to get into the hospital. This guy's going to go in because they don't know what to do with him. They'll bring him right through to the emergency room to start sewing him up. And I also say, maybe we start looking at our health and start saying, why do we want to go into those death camps? Because more than not, there's more danger going in there than what you're going to get from there. Most of the things that we've ever experienced in our life is because we were doing things to ourselves that was causing the problem. So I admit to it. Okay. Back in the 1990, when I was very active physically, weighed about 174 pounds, probably wet. Dan, slow down, inactive in front of the computer, reading books, sitting there and not moving at the level he was then, has now gone up to about 220 pounds. That's cause and effect. I don't blame you. I don't blame the government. Where do you think the onus is on? Moi, me. Let's get real here, guys. Okay, yeah, I was trying to do a good deed, but I should have gone out there and walked 20 blocks. Nothing happens without cause. There's cause and effect. So we're the direct cause of our own, well, it's in this sense, non-reality of legalism. We've done it to ourselves. We've assumed something that we didn't do any due diligence or research on. We walked in and we said, hey, man, I got to join the aggregate. And I admit it, I had a good brother and he brought up the point, and it's not to point anybody out. I wouldn't even say name, but he said, hey, man, I was born this. I was born into this religion that he was talking about. I go, no, you weren't. What are you talking about? You're not born into any of this legalism. You assumed it. Christ already came. Free grace is already there. We just went into the wrong side. That's all there is to it. We assumed the position. And of course, they'd have to give you a document. And the only evidence of any issuance of a certificate, remember this. Please do not forget this. All the research when I went into where first certificates have ever been issued, do you know the only place I could find in the civil history of Roman civil law where certificates were issued to the population? Do you know who it was issued to? The population that were claiming to be Christian, that signed they renounced Jesus Christ and did a pagan sacrifice to the Roman pagan gods. It was called a certificate of libelli. That's the only evidence of a certificate in Roman civil history. What do you think these are? I renounce Jesus Christ. I'm going to be legal. They just signed it for you. They just hoped you'd assume it. It's a lot easier just to give you one, make it available, so you just act on it. Only evidence of a certificate in anything to do with Roman civil history. So they just gave it to everybody. So everybody who acts legal is renouncing Christ. That's a terrible wake up. But maybe it's the bitter truth that we need. I call this the Buckley's medicine of truth. It may taste bad at first, but it works. That's one of the worst horrible cough medicines that ever was put together. How many people have ever tasted Buckley's medicine in Canada? But it's made out of some kind of pine extract. It's made out of something surprising. It's made out of a pine extract. But it works. More than not, it does work. It's pretty effective. It's probably one of the most naturally based, I would say, little ideas of a medicine on the market, because of the way it's made, because it carries mucilage in it, and mucilage actually cuts mucus. There's wild plants that produce that. Mullein produces that. So there's a basis of why it works. There's something natural in it that brings out and gets rid of the problem. It causes the phlegm to go away. But in this situation here, we're telling you the truth, and the truth will make the legal go away.
Something like
it works as an anti-personate.
Something like that isn't called a medicine. It's called a remedy.
There you go. That's a better word. We tend to probably use that meta too much because it leads to the idea of pharmaceuticals. So anyways, then we have, I put, can a man granted legal status forsake status to serve Christ? I'm going to read that really slow. Can a man granted legal status forsake status to serve Christ? Here was the answer. While a man's faith and actions are private, the Bible doesn't explicitly state that a man with legal status must forsake it to serve Christ. Instead, it emphasizes serving God through obedience, justice, while also respecting authorities. Of course, it was going to go down that. You'll see in a second here where I took it next. So I did what Benjamin said. I put it in a corner because I knew they were going to go to legal Christianity on that answer. They said, wow, you've got to go to Romans 13, be subject to the higher powers. Let every soul be subject, because they're taking it down, not what Paul meant in that scripture. Because you'll hear every lawyer say that, well, Remember, you got to be subject to the higher powers, right? Render unto Caesar what is Caesar. Well, if I rendered unto Caesar what is Caesar, I wouldn't be rendering him my God-given name, so he would only have the surname, which is what they assigned me. So then what do we have any problem? Every time they pull me over, okay, the legal surname that was assigned me without my consent at time of birth is this. And give them the last name and say, is there any further business? Because I was only told to render to Caesar what is Caesar's. I wasn't told to render to Caesar what is God's. I'm sorry, the legal Christians forgot that one. Because their little pastors on the payroll are too busy taking tax exemptions, playing the legal side. They like to give to Caesar what is Caesar and also give to Caesar what belongs to God, so the two merge together, so no longer can he serve God, he's now serving Caesar. Find a preacher that isn't serving Caesar first, God second.
That's what you call it.
That's why they put the surname first and the last name and the given name in the other order. That's why it's on the docket that way. Caesar first, God second. Can a man forsake legal status to serve Christ? Yes or no? I did the Benjamin technique here. He was completely correct. He beat me to it. I said yes or no. I didn't ask you to give me a philosophical answer from legal churchianity, which they did in the previous one. So here's it. It says, yes, a man can forsake legal status to serve Christ, as the focus should be on seeking God's approval and living a life aligned with his will, rather than solely adhering to external legal frameworks. As believers, our primary aim should be to seek God's approval, not human approval. This requires a heart aligned with God's will and a commitment to his truth. Legalism or a focus on external compliance can lead to a neglect of internal transformation and a heart aligned with God's will. Christians should seek a heart aligned with God's will rather than mere outward conformity. Do not be conformed to the world. Legal surnames are conformity to the world. Serving God in the Spirit. The Bible emphasizes serving God in the new way of living in the Spirit rather than solely adhering to the letter of the law. We'll call it the legal. Jesus lived a perfect sinless life, fulfilling every requirement of the law that we could not. Though his sacrificial death on the cross, Jesus took upon himself the penalty of sin, satisfying the demands of the law and providing a way. So your Christian name just says free of legal obligation. I serve God, I don't serve legal. This is very powerful, I'm telling you this. This is the kryptonite to legalism. That one, this one here, I'll find a way to get for the group. We'll send it out. Because it was really well worded. I have no problem with the AI return on this one. It was actually so pro do the good thing and do the free grace. I can't argue it. So I'm going to read a couple paragraphs again just so you have it again. Can a man forsake legal status to serve Christ? Yes or no? It came back with man. It said, yes, a man can forsake legal status to serve Christ. Didn't say a person. The previous AI talked about personhood because it was talking in the context of you being a legal person participant in legal Christianity. And therefore it said, well, you have to watch what you're doing there. That's what it was spinning it. Okay. This one was direct. So can a man forsake legal status to serve Christ? Yes or no? Yes, a man can forsake legal status to serve Christ, as the focus should be on seeking God's approval and living a life aligned with his will rather than solely adhering to external legal frameworks. What do you think this is? This is a legal framework. Okay? That's a keeper.